And finally, we want to make sure that we're continuing to build on our philosophy and build on our systems and content with people who play multiple characters in mind. We want to make sure, woo! We want to make sure that we're building all of our systems to really respect the time of the player behind the keyboard and not focusing so much on the accomplishments of that individual character. So let's talk about delves. Delves are a new feature that will be integrated into the outdoor world experience, where the fantasy of these is actually that you'll be joining the Dragonscale expedition in their search for lost treasures all across Kazalgar. So delves are an evergreen feature that is really integrated into that outdoor world experience. We want delves to be a new pillar of endgame content for those outdoor world explorers. We really view this as something like when we added world quests back in Legion, where they are going to be really integrated and transformative into that outdoor world, especially that endgame loop. So one of the main reasons I'm stoked about delves is that these will provide an opportunity for us to give seasonal content and rewards to those outdoor world explorers. So that means things like rewards that you're used to, like mounts, achievements, titles, but we'll also be adding a outdoor row to the Great Vault with War Within. So that all of you outdoor world explorers will be able to share in the joy of rushing to the Great Vault every week to collect your loot. And there will also be 13 unique delves that we'll be launching War Within with. And delves will scale from 1 to 5 players and be role agnostic. So that means if you want to play a delve solo, that's totally cool. If you want to go with you and your partner, that works as well. Or you can bring your whole dungeon group in, and the delve will scale based on your group size and your roles. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of my favorite features of delves, which I think Maria alluded to earlier, which is that there will be an NPC companion joining you on all of your adventures. So for Season 1, that'll be Bran Bronzebeard, as you can see. And Bran will be tagging along with you on all of your delve adventures and will totally never, not even once, aggro a pack of monsters that you didn't want him to. And I don't have my fingers crossed behind my back right now. So Bran will have a customizable talents and mechanics and abilities that you'll be able to kind of load out to suit your playstyle and needs. So maybe you need a little bit of extra healing. Well, you can load Bran out to provide that for you. And finally, you wouldn't be exploring with the Dragonscale expedition if at the end of every delve there wasn't this massive treasure trove that we need Bran to open for us, which hopefully brought a couple of keys to open some of the chests in there. But before Bran can open that vault for you, you'll need to maybe defeat a boss, maybe you'll solve a couple puzzles, something like that, and then Bran will be able to open that vault door for you. Next up, let's talk about warbands. It's happening! So warbands are a system that we're introducing that will really be the representation of all of your characters across your Battle.net account. Warbands are an opportunity for us to create a platform where you can share your achievements, resources, and all that other good stuff across all of those characters. So the goal of this system is really to be that representation of the philosophy shift that I mentioned earlier about really respecting the time of the player behind the keyboards and not those individual characters. There's actually a ton of additions and modifications. We've talked about a few here. There's no singular UI screen that says warbands. It's more of all these modifications and updates and features are kind of wearing a big coat that says warbands on the back of it. It's how I kind of keep it straight in my head. But just to talk about a couple of those cool features, we'll actually be revisiting the transmog rules of how you acquire those appearances in the War Within. So for all of you who have So that means all of you who have probably had to run 4 characters through all of those legacy instances just to make sure you're collecting all the appearances, that won't be the case anymore in War Within. You'll just be able to run it with 1 character. And oh yeah, Holly mentioned this already, but this is obviously one that people are looking forward to. All of our reputations as well as renown in the War Within will be shared across your entire account. Last but not least, let's talk about hero talents. So here's a quick mock-up of what the UI will look like that I think really helps explain how these integrate into our current talent trees. But really quick, let's take a look at how this will work. So there will be 3 new hero talent trees per class, and 2 will be available per specialization that you can freely choose and swap between. And also, this is another evergreen feature. This is a system that we think is going to provide a new vector of choice and customization for you and all of your classes, as well as create opportunities for us to really dig into some of those core class fantasies that are, so amazing. So Hero Talents will introduce these new, small, self-contained talent trees like you just saw in the UI. And the way I like to think about it is like, currently we have 2 types of talent points, right? We have class talent points and specialization talent points. And now in the War Within, there'll be a 3rd type called hero talent points. So let's look at a quick example, which hopefully explains it a little bit more. This is a warrior, as you can see. These are the 3 hero talent trees that they'll have available: Mountain Thane, Colossus, and Slayer. And as you can see in the top left, we have Protection, who will be able to choose between Mountain Thane and Colossus. Up on the right, you see Fury. Yep, that's right. Mountain Thane and Slayer are their options. And down at the bottom, Colossus and Slayer are their options. So this is how the majority of our classes are going to look in the War Within. The exception, of course, being Druids and Demon Hunters, who are a bit special, so theirs will look a little different. So let's take a look at how you'll unlock the system, as well as how it'll feel playing through as you're leveling through the War Within. So the system will automatically unlock at level 71, and it'll just kind of appear in your UI. You'll earn 1 talent point per level as you level from 71 to 80. And there are 10 talent points in total, with several choice nodes along the way. So I like to think of this as being similar to like the Legion artifact, where as you were leveling and progressing, you were making some choices along the way, but ultimately you're going to unlock the whole tree. And also, I want to be very clear here. These are extremely low friction to swap between those choice nodes, as well as to swap between the different hero talent trees.